pretty quick. And if anybody has any questions, feel free, I guess, to interrupt. That way you don't have to hear my boring voice for too long at once. So welcome to eRenovate. All kidding aside, we, as Darylyn mentioned, we want to be the acting force of good. I think we can all agree that there have been many different services out there, or there's a copious amounts of websites that pretend to put the homeowner first, but that's not the case. They're all really revenue driven, and we wanted to really change that. We believe through, I can tell you through personal experiences, that homeowners, in this case your clients, deserve peace of mind when it comes to improving your home. And that really hasn't taken place yet today. We also wanted to create a safer place so that they can hire trustworthy pros. And really at the end of the day, how can they avoid bad contractors? That's what we all want to do. And for designers such as yourselves, it's how can you connect with these good contractors as well if your circle of contractors might be tapped right now. So the way we do that, there's four pillars to our offering. One is the first ever Renovation Guarantee. So the eRenovate Guarantee, basically what we do is we create peace of mind like never before to somebody who's improving their home. How do we do that? Basically, we've developed a new bond process with the largest surety company in Canada. We created a new process to allow renovators the ability to become bonded. And that way we can actually stand behind their work. eRenovate now helps clients with secure, flexible payments. And we do that through a system called Project Tracker, which is another first. And what that does is it keeps homeowners and their pros in sync from start to finish and really helps projects run smoother. So just to give you an idea as to who eRenovate is, you might have heard us. We think that we're still a little bit under the radar, and we've done that intentionally to kind of put our system through the paces. But we've already built up a great portfolio of alliances. Benjamin Moore, as we all know, and Moen Canada, they are our official title sponsors. And if you look on our website, you'll see them right immediately on the homepage. They have happily laid their hat with us, and they put their brand on our homepage because of the fact that they know just how much we are actually protecting the homeowners, and we want to protect the homeowners, and we want to reward good contractors. So that is a big feather in our cap for us. We also have the City of Toronto, Toronto Hydro, Amerispec, which is the second largest home inspection company, TIDC proudly is there, and Better Homes Toronto, which is a site that we actually built for the City of Toronto. These places send people to eRenovate when they're looking to hire contractors. So it puts us in some pretty unique place in the industry. And I want to jump into now how we really help you and your clients hire with peace of mind. So what is the eRenovate Guarantee? So our tagline for this now is your project protected. And basically what we do is we offer your clients two key ingredients, if you will. We've done surveys, and it's probably everybody here can attest to it, is the two biggest concerns for homeowners is what happens if I give them a deposit and they disappear. And at the end of the project is something needs to be fixed and they don't come back to fix it, they've disappeared. So the eRenovate Guarantee answers both of those things. We have deposit protection up to $25,000, and we have an 88-day workmanship guarantee. It's actually a 90-day workmanship guarantee, but we call it 88 days just from a marketing perspective. Everybody who hears it has made a note of it, and they remember it probably much more than they would in 90 days. So at the end of the project, if there's any workmanship issues, the homeowner can report it through our site, and contractors who are verified and bonded are obligated to fix that. The deposit protection, the way that works is essentially if Darylyn hires an a bonded by eRenovate contractor, and they use Project Tracker to create the scope of the work, and they start the project, if Darylyn sends the funds to eRenovate gives the funds to the contractor, he disappears, or he starts doing or she starts doing some work, and they disappear, then the client just notifies eRenovate. We'll reach out to the contractor to see what is the situation. If he legitimately has just decided to take off with the funds, then within 2 weeks, your client gets their full $25,000 back, and we will deal with the contractor. So that's the first of its kind, and that clearly brings peace of mind like never before. How can we do this? Well, between 18 and 20 months, we worked with Canada's largest insurance broker and Canada's largest surety company, actually North America's largest insurance broker and Canada's largest surety company, to curate a program and to create a process to enable the pros to become bonded like never before. So traditional bonds are for big commercial institutional companies, and we made a point that renovation and the renovation projects, while they might be smaller in scale, there's no way to protect the homeowners. So our verification process is Canada's highest, most strictest process. Contractors have to have valid insurance, WSIB, government registered, minimum 3 years of business operating, and applicable licenses that are valid, of course, depending on what kind of trade they are. Now, the key part of this is ongoing compliance. And we know, first of all, I can assure everybody that the processes and mechanisms that we have in place today, we know if any of these documents become expired. And if they become expired, we would send automatically, our system automatically sends notification emails to the pro to say, look, at the end of this week, or end of this month, sorry, or end of next month, your insurance or your licenses or whatnot are expiring. You need to provide us with that updated documents. Otherwise, you're no longer verified and bonded and they're deactivated. So the ongoing compliance is a very key component that nobody else really does. And that is how much the due diligence we perform. So we are now getting contractors who have asked us to build this into their account so that they can keep track of their own subtrades like never before. So this is probably equally applicable for designers. If we have some design build companies that are on the call, or I'm sure it was part of TIDC, is if you are going to call up your trusted renovation contractor, I'm not insinuating that they don't, but you don't know if they have valid insurance, or they don't know if their licenses for their subtrades might be up to date. And that is a huge liability issue, because you can trust them, they can say they have it, and that's where it becomes a very tricky, uncomfortable situation where homeowners are told, ask to see the documents. And this is at the beginning of a project. So the contractor is looking at you saying, well, you don't believe me? And the homeowner says, I do, I just want to see them. And they can provide a piece of paper that is not even valid. So this is a huge due diligence that we do for homeowners and for you as designers. So that's basically how we ensure that the contractors go through our process. Once they go through this, then they agree to our bond terms and they sign an indemnity agreement. So it's legally binding and they're all fine with that. And that's why we say only the finest pros make the cut, because we have a lot of contractors who come through the process, and once it's time to submit documents, they disappear. Is there any questions so far, Darylyn, or?
I don't see any in the chat or the Q&A, but certainly I do know I hear a lot lately and have always heard, designers trying to locate really, and have get referrals from really top talented contractors. So I think they'll find this very valuable, we hope.
Okay. All right, well then we can go into the fun part of how we enable people to connect. So we call it we always use the analogy, eRenovate is like a dating service for the renovation industry. We have our poster project tool, which basically enables people to just tell us what they need and then sit back, and we're gonna match them with the right pros. And the way we look at it today is that search is so passé. If you look at Google, Google was built on a foundation of algorithm-based results based on authority. That's why the era of backlinks and all this stuff was so valid because the more links you had come into your website, it made Google, obviously and logically speaking, thinking that you were higher of an authority, and that's how you would appear higher in the search results. Well, today that's gone. That's why Google's been getting fined for billions of dollars through the European Commission, even in the US now, because it's now become just like the yellow pages. And whoever has the most bucks, you do a search, all your organic results are all the way down. There might be 3 of them on a page and the rest is just all paid ads. So it's misleading people. So this post a project tool is more important than ever. Essentially, a homeowner comes to eRenovate. Our post a project tool is simple and free. As we say, 2 things we all love. And they can basically just start by entering the postal code. They explain a little bit about what their project entails. Oops, sorry. They can upload some photos. And then they basically just give us their email. And then they can stipulate when they want to be contacted. So I can say, Wednesday from 12 to 4 and Thursday from 4 to 8, for example. They confirm some contact details and then they hit submit. And that's it. And we don't share their information with anybody except those 3 bonded contractors. Why 3? Because obviously it's an industry standard. Everybody's been told to make sure you get 3 quotes. However, if you have a client or you just want 1 or 2 quotes, that's up to you. Okay, you can control that. If you want 4 quotes, you can also get 4 quotes. So we let you decide how many quotes and how many pros you want to meet. Okay, so the process is basically once the homeowner provides their details, description of their project, and we do the matchmaking. So it goes to 3 bonded pros. The homeowner gets an email and it says, here are the 3 pros that you can expect a call from during the times that you indicated. Then they're going to, of course, meet with the pros on site. Eventually, you do need to, depending on the job, if it's, I need X amount of square feet of flooring installed, I really don't want you to come by my place, you can probably get a pretty decent quote. But if it's a substantial project, of course, an on-site inspection so that they can probably assess the project. They'll then provide the quotes. They'll upload the quotes through eRenovate. So you or your client gets notified. There's a new quote for you to look at. And then you choose which one you want to hire. When you choose the one best for you, you click hire this contractor and we start up this project guarantee and your project is covered by the guarantee. And that's basically how the process is. That's the intake for posting a project. So now we're gone on to the point where the homeowner or your client has hired a pro and the project tracker is initiated. And basically this is a foundation of trust. It's clarity. Today, you have some contractors that use a few systems, but many of them don't. And the systems that some of them use are very overbuilt. And what we are looking to do is, what we want is to provide the clarity. So with Project Tracker, what happens is the contractor can build out the project scope. And what he does at that point is he can create milestones, 1 milestone, 2 milestone, up to unlimited milestones really. And he can create the payments that are due per milestone and what those milestones include. And he would basically create that, send it to the client, and the client reviews it and they can accept it, or they can go back with some edits themselves. Now in the Messenger, all of these key moments are all time-stamped so that there's nobody knows no he say or she say or nothing. It's all clearly timeline is defined and date stamped so that if the client says, okay, I agree to the project scope, let's get started, then project starts and milestone 1 commences. At the end, when the contractor requests a payment from the homeowner, eRenovate then requests that payment. It's all automated. The homeowner can pay us through email transfer or they can pay us through their online bank as a payee. So if you look at where you pay your bills, if you do a search for Bell or you do a search for Rogers, within a couple of weeks you'll see eRenovate in there. And so they can pay it that way, so it's secure. The money comes to us and we send the money to the contractor and they can just click on a button and directly deposit into their account. So that's how the payments are secure. There's one more area. There's a private area. It's called the notes area. So if you or your clients have think of it like a virtual project board or cork board. you can kind of just save, or any photos or any receipts or any thoughts, you can just save it in your private notes area. So it's basically, as we call it, home base for all your home projects. And this, again, is just all part of the eRenovate ecosystem. At the end of the project, it gives you a summary of every single thing that happened. Once the project is complete, there will be a report an issue button. That's where the homeowner can report an issue. eRenovate gets notified. The contractor gets notified. He has to reply within 2 days. If he doesn't, we look into it right away. We get a flag. If he or she happens to be in the hospital, God forbid, we obviously look at ways to resolve the situation. The contractors, through their identity agreement, they're obliged to come back and fix these workmanship issues if they are legitimately to do with the work that they create, with the work that they provided. If the contractor decides he's not going to go do it, then we get involved. We have adjusters, executive directors from the claims adjusting firms that will look into it. And if it is legitimate, then eRenovate would compensate the homeowner to get that workmanship issue resolved. Okay, so that's how our guarantee works, and through the Project Tracker platform. Just to note, if people think of an Airbnb model where you can't come to Airbnb and say, I met Darylyn, I want to rent her place in Montreal, and Darylyn says, hey Tom, why don't you just call me at this number? We'll just talk off platform, and I'll give you a better deal, and everybody's happy. And I say, okay, that sounds great. And I show up in Montreal and I knock on the door and there's no Darylyn. I can't at that point call Airbnb and say, I got misled by Darylyn. Is there anything you can help me with? They can't help you. If it's off platform, there's no proof. And with the Project Tracker, that's why we have it here as well, because if anything happens, we can revert back to the messages and we can see all the history of what has transpired in this relationship. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Tom,
yes,
just to go back, I think there's a bit of a delay in the chat. There were a few questions on the quoting section, the first section. Okay. I have a question from Salome, which you and I talked about recently. Can the designer submit on the customer's behalf? Is one question.
What can submit a project?
Quote, yeah, a quote for quotes and the project.
Yeah, if a designer wants to become a verified and bonded by eRenovate, say they're a design build company, I assume.
Or even just a designers. Often designers will be managing that for their clients. So
right, they can. Yes, they can. They can be involved in the project on the platform. Basically, if let's just say whoever physically sends the payment, they're the ones that would be given back the payment if something happened. Does that make sense? So yes, a designer can get involved with their client. As a designer, you can create a project on behalf of your client, absolutely, and manage it. We had a couple designers say they wouldn't mind adding the Project Tracker to their projects because for the validity of creating a home base for the project, everything conveniently in one place. So you can do that. We also have contractors, just to let everybody know, this same applies to designers. If you become a verified and bonded pro, you can use a Project Tracker for clients outside of eRenovate. So the lead doesn't have to come through eRenovate. You can have a client who might want to offer them the guarantee and the peace of mind and the Project Tracker. You can use that as well. Yes. Does that answer the question?
I think so. And Salome, if you have any other questions, please feel free to. Yes, she said, thank you.
Awesome.
Then we have another question from Susan. Where do we fit in? Which is similar to what we've just talked about. The quotes are coming from us after client gives us info and we are managing the client. So I think you've answered that, unless there's something you'd like to add.
Yeah, and I'm always, one thing with us is we're open to speaking with the pros. If there's ways that we can help our system, improve our system to better integrate designers, we're all open to that. It's definitely what's helped us get to this point is we're not one track mind. This is not the way to do it. Everybody else is invalid. No, if some designers have some input maybe kind of shed some light on some of their more realistic kind of examples that we can take and see how we can properly answer them and how our system can facilitate those issues. I'm more than happy to work with them or speak with them or have another maybe call and really listen to the real life scenarios. But today, the way things stand is that definitely, you know, just like you do today, a lot of the designers do the project management on behalf of their clients. Then they can just basically, they can use our platform. And when you hire the contractor through our platform, then it's way more secure.
That's for sure. Sounds like you've done tremendous due diligence. I still can't get over the protection guarantee. That's amazing, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, so sorry.
Go ahead. Is there more?
No, Susan, I hope that answered your question, and we'll carry on in the meantime.
So this kind of lends itself then into maybe like we're excited to obviously have this referral program. And I think speaking to few designers, how a lot of them have maybe a core set of pros, I call them pros, contractors that you would have used, but maybe they're not available anymore. And we found on the design side, home inspection side, realtor side, we're dealing with all those different business types now. They've had this need to really kind of solicit and get out there and try to make sure they have a few good resources in their pocket. But as we know, those resources aren't always reliable. So with eRenovate, at least, you know, you can focus on your core business, which is developing beautiful homes and beautiful spaces. And if you need to get some contractors for whether it's a flooring project, eRenovate has everything from basement to roofing. So if you need a roofing contractor, if you need a painter, electrician, HVAC company, all you can simply do is post a project on behalf of your client. And lo and behold, you're going to get matched with 3 pros. So you got everything at your fingertips. The beautiful part is with this referral program, I think Andrew or Darren could send everybody a link. So essentially, you can create your own unique link. Think of Uber. You get your own unique link, you share it with your friends, they take a ride, and you get $5 or $10. So what we've developed is a system that you can share the link in 2 ways. One is you can put the link on your website. So if you say to a homeowner, oh, just go to my website and click on this link. The beautiful part is if they click on the link and they post a project and they hire a pro and they complete the project, you're going to earn real cash dollars. In this case, right now, we're dealing with Amazon gift cards. If there's something else you prefer, we're open to that. But you will get a portion of our guarantee fees for each project. And it's up to $500 a project. So on a pretty substantial project, you would get $500 for basically helping your clients avoid bad contractors. And the nice thing is they get a little referral as well, a little referral reward. So it's a little bit less, but not a lot less. And that is simply our way of saying, we are building this ecosystem. We are helping people have peace of mind. The contractors, they don't mind paying us for the guarantee fee. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking out a bond on every single project. So there's a fee that they pay to us. It's a small fee, but we're sharing that with whoever refers the client. So 2 ways to do that. One was to be putting it, say, on your website, or you can put it on social media. You can get your unique link. You can put it in your emails. You can put it in your social media. The nice thing is that anytime somebody clicks on that link, they don't have to post a project right away. Up to 128 days thereafter they first clicking on that link, you will get credit for that referral. And so the nice thing is I wanted to point this out to a lot of the designers here, is that typically you're going to refer your client to a kitchen contractor or a renovator or something like that. But what if your client comes on board and they need to post an HVAC project? Maybe they're putting in a new furnace and a new HVAC or a new HRV, and it's a $15,000, $20,000 project. Well, because you refer them to eRenovate, you're actually going to get some bucks off of that as well. where typically you wouldn't probably get anything because it's kind of out of scope, I would think. So that's kind of what we've created here. So it's peace of mind. You get rewarded for basically helping them avoid bad contractors, and they get a little referral thank you gift as well. So yeah, that's basically where we're at. We call it the peace of mind platform, right? We have the matchmaking, the guarantee, the bonding pros. So no other website, no other service stands behind their pros like we do. And we know a lot of them. I've been in this space for about 15 years. A lot of them are just based on reviews, which this is just a different business model. But ours is authenticity, integrity, that if something goes wrong, we're there to support it. And that is something that you can take to heart, and your clients would obviously are going to appreciate that as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. We definitely have some questions. Okay. Susan, I think, yeah, there's definitely a delay because Susan did ask after her last question from further clarification how this works with designers in particular. For example, a bathroom, they still design the room, they pick all the colors, styles, etc., and your contractor does the work. Is that right?
That kind of broke up a little bit. Can you ask that one again?
Sure. She's asked for further clarification on how it works. Say, for example, a bathroom. The designer designs the room, picks the colors, tiles, and the contractor does the work. Okay. Referral is great, but they also make money on supplies from their suppliers.
Right.
Well, so the first part of the question is further clarification on the process, I think.
So, specifically it works. Right. So in this case, if your client posted, so I understand the designer sourcing of materials. So in this case, for example, on Project Tracker, if you create a project scope, you can say, well, who's providing materials? So you can say the homeowner or the contractor, right? So in this case, let's say your client says, I'm doing my bathroom. I need most of the stuff done, but I already have tiles or faucets or whatever it might be that my designer has selected, right? So then you can provide those, you can supply those materials. The contractors would be quoting the job based on what they're going to be doing, and that way they won't interfere or step on your toes of trying to source the materials because it's already provided.
Awesome. And Andrew has provided the link in the chat. There was a few questions about the link, so that's great. Thank you, Andrew. We also have another question. If we have contractors that we want to have join eRenovate, how do we do that?
Yeah, that's great. We have a Refer a Pro link, which I can show. I can share. That is a great question. We have, needless to say, it's a tough discussion to have when you want to make sure that if you're going to refer pros, they go through our program so that they're protected and that you're protected, right? Because we've had situations where renovators are using their reliable sub-trades, and we heard of so many instances where these people didn't even have the valid insurance. So something went sideways. You know, if you're the designer and you're bringing in these trades, you're ultimately liable. So that's a great question. I think we have a referral program for the pros. I think it might be $30 or something like that we would give you for every pro that kind of becomes verified and bonded. So I will share that link, and I would really appreciate that. And it's a smart question, and it's a pretty good idea.
Nice. Next one is from Sharon. What are the criteria for a contractor to become a bonded pro? To simply pay eRenovate fee? What kind of background checks are done before a contractor is accepted? I know you went through some of that. Maybe just quickly again.
Yeah, so I don't know, is my screen still visible?
Yes.
It is. So if you look at here, again, we have, we make sure the insurance is valid, and eRenovate has measures in place that we would know if there's any what's called material changes in the policy. So if a contractor he went yesterday to get insurance, and he gave it to us. He goes, there you go, because he never had insurance before. So he's going to pull a fast one, and he's going to say, here's my insurance policy, my certificate of insurance. And if he decides that he's not paying his next installment, then it's going to be canceled. We get notified immediately. So there's all these measures in place. So the insurance is key. WSIB, if they have employees, the government register to make sure that they're a legitimate business and they have a GST number. Not all of them do. And we want to make sure there's written contracts for all of our projects. We don't condone any cash business. We know it exists. It's Canada's largest underground economy. Of Canada's underground economy, renovations, construction is the biggest one. It's worth about $12 billion a year. So yeah, we have a very strict process. Once they complete this verification process, we verify all his documents, then they have to accept our 4 terms, which I mentioned earlier. They will not misappropriate the funds. So any deposit that comes to them for a project, if they take off with them, they are immediately responsible. So we won't necessarily go after them. You don't have to go after them. Our insurance company will go after them. They'll pay us, and believe you me, because they signed an indemnity agreement, there's no recourse for them. So the 4 terms are the deposit protection, that they will agree to fix any workmanship issues that are directly related to their project, and the documentation that they provide us is legitimate. And so once they go through those and they check them off, they have to click, and they physically sign it online. And so it's 100% binding.
And it's great that you're actually checking that, whereas, if it's given directly, as you said earlier, to the homeowner, it's not always even valid. So
exactly. In a lot of cases, it's not.
We have another one from Tracy. Great presentation. Do your services apply to commercial projects?
It's a good question. We're working on some smaller. We do have contractors that do some smaller commercial work, yes. There's no institutional work, but mostly smaller commercial that they would be able to do, yes.
And what is the cost involved, from Alexandra? What is the cost involved for the designer point of view to be part of the program?
So like a design build company, I guess, in that case.
Like first from the designer, if they're just posting a project, there's no cost, right?
There's no cost. There's no cost at all. If you want to be involved as a designer, like design build company, the fee is very nominal. It's $199 per year, which is, it's, I would say sound biased, but it's mind-boggling, because I can tell you the conventional process for being a bonded company is you have to provide 3 years of financials. You have audited financials. You have to have a credit check on all of your directors. You have to have $250,000 in your business account, and you have to provide a list of ongoing and past projects of this year. That is to apply. And if the underwriters accept you, it costs you between $3,000 and $5,000 a year to be bonded. Because of this eRenovate concept that we put together with the insurance partner, it's $199 for the year. And business or leads that you close through our platform. So you get a lead through eRenovate and you win the project. There's a small percentage of the guarantee fee. That's basically the 2 costs that are involved. So again, a homeowner can also use the project tracker tool for leads that don't come through eRenovate. So we have about 20 or so now companies just in Toronto now, since we opened it up about 2 months ago. They are using the project tracker tool for their clients outside of eRenovate. So one is a big roofing company. They say, we always look at ways to basically give more value. So now, once they have a client, or the client's kind of on the fence between them and another contractor, they pull out we have a 1-pager that they say, hey, we're eRenovate verified and bonded. We have this tool called Project Tracker. We'll spell everything out, all the milestones, all the work that we're going to do, and you're protected. Your deposit is protected, and you get an 88-day workmanship guarantee. Clients love it, and the contractors are loving it. So at that point, if you bring your clients on board, it's only 1.5% of the project total.
Nice.
So it's $199 for the year, and a small percentage of every project that you want to have the guarantee protect.
Nice.
Awesome. So Tom, we have a couple questions here. I'll combine them together because they're very related. So how do we check to see if a contractor is competent? That's from Alexandra. And then part B is the contractor's quality of work part of the vetting process? And that's from Saskia.
It's a good question. So we don't get involved in like referral letters and stuff, and the reason we don't is because we've done some research on it, and nobody gives a bad referral letter. They always give the good ones. Nobody talks about what happens when something goes wrong. So that's the first part. But we do, the caliber of the companies that come in and register, we do some background checks on them, and you can tell by some of these companies if the work is I guess, if you will, if it's, I'm lost for the term, if it's worthy of us, because think of it from our perspective, we're just not letting anybody on here. It wouldn't be in our best interest. So one point I want to make is we are of a mindset that we'd have less quality contractors as opposed to all these other websites that they just charge a listing fee. So they want thousands and thousands of contractors. They don't care about the quality. We're the opposite. Our business model is we're going to generate our revenue regardless, but we're only partnering with very, very special, in this case, renovators that are going to have pride in their work. And to go through our bond process and the verification, it is legally binding. So the shady fly-by-night contractors, they'll have no business going through our registration process because they won't even apply. And so we are very careful about who comes on. Plus, one more thing I was going to mention is when the business comes on, we don't allow them to cross-pollinate, if you will. We don't let the renovators say, oh, my friend does electrical as well and he does plumbing. We make sure that the trades, the specialty trades, only can select the categories that are pertinent to their business. So an HVAC contractor can only pick heating, cooling, water tanks, hydronic floors, that kind of stuff. He can't say, oh, my buddy also does electrical, and that's the person we're going to send you to. Similar to the renovators. We don't get guys, sometimes there might be a couple of companies that say, oh, I do flooring and I do additions as well. We don't let them select additions if they're a flooring company. We just let them get flooring leads. So we've kind of siphoned the leads into the proper specialty companies. It's in our best interest that we connected with the right pros because we don't need, the issues as well.
And I'm guessing the 88-day workmanship guarantee would deter some contractors that typically, do shoddy work, if you will.
Well, this is it. And, a lot of these businesses, they have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year warranties. I know there's some institution that has and claims a 2 year warranty, but nobody stands behind it. So it's kind of has no teeth. So what we're talking is, for the first 90 days, and then it'll probably expand. We're getting our feet wet kind of thing. We're gathering historical data, and our insurance partner is more than happy to extend that into 128 days, 158 days, what might be. So that is something that will definitely expand on. But for the interim, and the businesses, you can see the partnerships that we're building. If you put yourself in a good renovator's shoes, a good business, they're not going to want to mess up at all. A, it's their reputation. And B, if they get a good lead source, they're going to want to make sure that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So one of the key components is the 3 years. We did, again, research with also Industry Canada. And if you look at in the past, a lot of these companies that have gone on and taken people's deposits, they will be around for about 6 months. They'll take some deposits and then they'll switch their business name to something else and do the same. Okay, so 6 months is usually that point. So our 3 years might not sound like a lot, but from a fundamentally speaking of a business to be able to survive, like cash flow wise and through merit, 3 years is a pretty decent number.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
I hope that answers the
Mm-hmm.
long answer to a question. Sorry.
No, so we have another one from Sharon. So how are change orders handled by the system?
It's a good question. Through the project tracker, there's a tool where they can kind of basically put a new item in. So let's say you're doing a kitchen, but the husband says, I want to get a gold faucet instead. And the contractor will say, well, that's going to be an extra, I don't know, $1,200. Okay, great. They can actually upload that as an item change, and the homeowner has to accept it. And then your milestone price will change, and it'll increase with the amount of this new faucet. So that's basically how we address it. And again, in that messenger window I was telling you about, everything is itemized there. There's been a change, homeowner accepted, or the client accepted the change. So that's how we handle it.
Nice.
So we have another question. It's drawing on the vetting process. How do you check that and then verify that contractors have not had any legal claims against them?
Yeah, that's something that we do with one of our advisors, legal advisors, is doing a quick background check and a credit check. On the bigger projects, we do that, the bigger businesses. On some of our like licensed trades like HVAC and plumbing and whatnot, we don't. But there's definitely something that we look into as well.
Awesome.
But at the end of the day, like that's why we look at the deposit being a big issue, because, and our by the way, our project max is currently is $250,000. So if it's a project that's larger than $250,000 today, it wouldn't go through our program.
Right. Awesome. Suzanne wants to know the area eRenovate's covering right now. GTA, York Region.
Yep, we're greater GTA. We're now like Oakville. We have contractors that go up to, I'd say, Newmarket, and east to, I'd say, Durham.
Nice.
And it's growing I think we have some other partnerships that we're working on that we need to have contractors in every major city center. So we're kind of going through that vetting process now. So yeah, but we're pretty comfortable in the greater GTA.
Fantastic. That's good to hear. And Wendy wants to know, do you refer designers if someone wants to have a project on and needs a designer to assist?
You can ask TIDC that question.
Yes, we love that question. Thank you, Wendy. We will get back to you on that. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, we are definitely, it's something that we know about. We know the validity of it because two things. One is that homeowners, they have this misconception that, oh, it's really expensive to get a designer, first of all. Second of all, they don't realize how expensive it can be to not have a designer based on what the project is. So it's something that we definitely want to promote. We're building an ecosystem is our vision, so that, whether it's a energy advisor, because you should start with an energy advisor, that's how you get your rebates for your energy efficiency upgrades. Similar is a designer. We've had contractors who said, I went to show up to that lady's house and she told me she wanted a new kitchen. And I said, okay. And some of these contractors, you get some that are, they'll send you to a designer, but there's others that just want to come in here, look at the drawings, look at the design, produce the kitchen and install it. So my point to that is we definitely have an interest to start to bring in the designer element. And everybody can work together. On your side, you can bring people to eRenovate. We can help on eRenovate bring them to you. So, but as Darylyn said, I think she'll get back to you on that one.
Yes. We're getting close to time. There's a few more questions we'll take, and then we'll certainly wrap it up and get back to you on any others if we do perhaps run out of time. This is wonderful that we're getting all these questions. We have another one from Sharon. How do you handle it if a client does not come through with their due payment either at the correct time or ever, and it's, say, the second of 4 expected payments?
Yeah, it's a good question. Now that you have a contractor can legally just, you know, if they want, they can just walk off the job. The project scope is an agreement that both parties kind of have entered into. The contract itself, that's why when you create a project scope on Project Tracker, there's a field there. You're basically just drag and drop the signed contract, right? So the signed contract is the Bible. This Project Tracker puts it into more, I guess, if you will, black and white and an easy to use kind of home base for this project. So if a homeowner decides, I'm not paying on this next milestone, then the contractor has every right to stop working. And there's no recourse that eRenovate would take on a designer or a contractor, right? This isn't, while we want to protect homeowners, this isn't the great homeowner protection plan where the homeowner is always right. We know that there's going to be instances where there's going to be some, you know, not so kind or never pleased homeowner customers. But the reason that we created this Project Tracker, and which I mentioned before, is we're getting more and more contractors using this for their own business, is they don't have a system like this. And when they use it, they can clearly state the milestones and the payment schedule attached. And if the customer says, I don't want to, then they don't pay it and they can walk off the job.
True indeed. Everyone's best nightmares. So we have another one. What are the selection criteria during sort of that matchmaking process, the AI behind the scenes to provide 3 pros?
It's the pro type, their specialties, and their service radius. So, which is another key thing, because again, getting back to the Google search, we've heard so many times where people do a search for a kitchen or bathroom company, they find a cool name, they find a really nice website, they fill out the contact us form, or they leave a message and they never hear back from the company. Well, that's because the company might have been in, I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there. They might have been downtown Toronto and they're not coming up to Barrie, right, or wherever it might be. So that's how we match it, and that way, you know, when we match a lead to a pro, the pro is interested in that project and in that category. If a contractor chooses or he needs to decline a lead, they can, and then we would then match it to the next available pro in that area.
Wonderful. We'll take one more we have from Wendy, and we'll wrap it up with a comment if you want to go to your closing, Tom. So we don't want to get cut off by Zoom. We know they automatically shut us down. Okay. So we have a comment from Susan, which I love. Been there, done that with a bad contractor. She says, this is an awesome partnership. It does not feel good to lose 20K from a bad contractor.
I appreciate that. I went through that myself. I can tell you firsthand, it doesn't feel good at all. So thank you, Susan. It means a lot. And this is what we're here for. We want to raise a level of the good contractors, make them stand out. And by providing homeowners with that peace of mind, as one business mentioned to us, if we're on the side of the angels, then I think we can be doing okay. And we're really proud of what we've done. So thank you. And we hope to have more people using it, get the referral code, because we want to pay you $1 million in a year in Amazon gift cards, or maybe we'll figure out something else. But all kidding aside, you know, if you use this more, so the biggest advantage is, you know, that if you refer a client to somebody through eRenovate, there's a backstop, and that doesn't exist today anywhere else. So that's where we're really proud of, and it's with people like here on the call. I think we're going to make this a major difference to the industry, and really change the industry and make it a big game changer. So thank you so much.
Nice. So I missed the last question. Is it similar to Tarion?
We've been called the Tarion of renovations, yes. So it's similar. I can tell you with our insurance partner, if something goes sideways, we're not going to make it an arduous a process. We understand the stress, especially, for example, if somebody's doing a basement and a contractor comes, takes her 20 grand, and now they're out 20 grand and they have a destroyed basement. You know, it's a terrible feeling. And at this point, to have that sort of peace of mind, that's what we're really fond of. And so we are like Carry On, but we really will always stand behind every situation if it's warranted.
You had a visitor go in and out there, Tom. Nice. So we'll go to the close. We just want to make sure that you have everyone has your contact info on your closing content. And Andrew, if you could post the link one more time. We hope everyone signs up for the TIDC member referral program. We'll also send you the link Tom promised for contractor referrals. We'll email that to everyone. And we're good.
All right, I
appreciate closing slide, Tom?
Pardon?
You want to go to your closing slide? And I'll just close as well with, hopefully you'll be able to join us next Tuesday, April 28th at 11 a.m. We have IDC Home joining us again to launch their latest collection called Indira from Belgium. So I hope to see you there. There's Tom's email if you want to contact him directly, or you can always DM us or email us. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it, and stay safe. And feel free to reach me anytime. I'm always on.
Wonderful. Thanks, Tom, so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.